First of all, I want to get this out of the way. The title is completely incorrect, and I'm 100% lying about this. I only said that, I guess you could kind of consider that clickbait, but hey, it's just your everyday YouTube, so, yeah. Basically, this was just gonna be really short. I'm probably just gonna edit in some, background, gameplay of me playing the game. But, H3Vr is possibly one of the best gun shooter games I have played in VR. Reason being, the accuracy it is to actually how they work, and also the simplicity. Like they make it good enough so you can learn enough of the mechanics to play the game within an hour of just playing it, and then through playing it more and more hours, you get even more and even more like in depth of the game, and and you just do things like automatically without even realizing it, because it's so easy to learn, but it's still super fun. But yeah, I was actually gonna do a way more complicated video, but I'm not gonna do that simply because I don't want to edit a way more complicated video, and I'm lazy. So yeah, so all I was gonna do was basically talk about how H3Vr is good, and I'm gonna compare it a little bit to Pavlov. Really only a tiny bit of it. So right now I'll just start that right now. So basically, me personally, I say Pavlov and H3Vr are trying to be two separate things. I don't think they're trying to compete. I don't think they're trying to be the same thing. I think Pavlov is a multiplayer shooter that, like, the gun, it's not really more focused on the gun than the physics. It's really more focused on the gameplay and how things interact, like, and how things work, map quality and stuff like that, like I feel like that's more focused on that, because you get average gun quality. It's not amazing, but it's your average VR shooter's gun quality, right? It might be a little bit better than other ones, but it's still not very good. There's not a lot of customability. There's not a lot of whole stuff you can do. You got the gun, you might be able to put an attachment or two on it, but that's about it. In H3Vr, it is literally the opposite story. Literally, just a couple hours ago, I made a potato rocket launcher that had 2 sets of iron sights. It had one 32x zoom, one 16x zoom. It had an ACOG. It had 3 lasers that triangulated exactly where the shot would go, and it had a foregrip. It had flashlight, and it had a grenade launcher on it. You can't do that kind of stuff with Pavlov, but H3Vr, trust me, you can. Another thing I did, I made binoculars. Honestly, they didn't really work too well, but I literally took a pistol and I made it so the 2 16x zoom scopes were right in the area where you would look. Honestly, it didn't work too well, but it was still really fun to do, and it's pretty cool. But basically, that wasn't the whole reason I was going to record this. I'm really just giving off a little review, with obviously some stuff in the background. But basically, that's where I wanted to end off the comparison, because like I'm saying, it doesn't really compare too much to Pavlov itself. They're two different things. Like, if you want modability and stuff, H3Vr, it does have that, but Pavlov, it's so much more, and it's so much easier to do it as well. At least from what I know. Honestly, I'm not a huge H3Vr modder, but I do know a little bit about how to mod it and stuff. Anyway, basically, H3Vr allows you to do whatever you want. So basically, if you want to take a gun, put a little muzzle on it that has 4 Picatinny rails, then you can multiply those by adding rail adapters. You can add rail adapter longs, or like to make them longer. You can add a scope. You can add everything. You can even add a blowtorch. You can add an American flag. You can add an MLG horn that when you click on it, it goes like it makes the MLG horn noise. So yeah, I would it's got a lot of customization ability, or I guess that's how you would say it. But it is a little bit harder than Pavlov in terms of like reloading and stuff. You know, you go to reload a weapon, and it's a lot harder to get that magazine or that bullet right in that perfect spot. Pavlov, it teleports your hand to where it is. H3Vr, it only teleports your magazine once it's completely in the well or in the area where it's going already. If it's a little bit outside, it's not going to teleport the magazine in. You're going to have to take it or pull it back away from your hand and go try again and hope that you get it into the well. This honestly, it's kind of like a mixed bag. I like it, at the same time I don't like it, but there is an option to use the easy mag thing, so it will automatically teleport your hands instantly where it was, or where it should be once you're close enough. I don't use that personally because I think it's too much, so I think a mix between, like an option for something in between would be really fun, but they don't have that, and I do like that you do have to be a little bit more accurate than in Pavlov, but also at the same time it gets annoying when you're trying to do something and you're like really far through like an act or whatever you're trying to do in the game, like if you're like shooting a bunch of hot dogs or something, and then you go to reload and everything was perfect up until that point, and then you miss the magazine and then now it's all ruined because now it doesn't look good anymore. Yeah, so it's just stuff like that can happen occasionally. So yeah, but I feel like using the automatic mag teleport is a little, it removes some of the coolness of the game. The map selection, it's pretty good. I haven't played all the maps honestly, so don't take my word for this, but basically what I have played is the starting, or the area where you start, or like not where you start, but the green one. It says this is a great place to start. I don't know the names. Or I also played Worst World, I know that one, and I know I played the Inside Range, I played Friendly 45, and I played both Night and Day Arizona, Arizona Sunshine, or whatever it was. Night and I think I prefer the night mode in Arizona Sunshine a little bit more, but I don't know. Sometimes it really depends, like how I feel. I wish it was more like an option to switch between night and day rather than having to load into a whole different scene. But I get it. It's all the stuff that has to be worked out when you load into the scene. You can't just switch it because I don't think the game's lighting works that way. It might. I'm not 100% sure though. Oh, my mic just fell. Sorry about that. But yeah. So other things, the gun selection is huge. Like, there are tons. You go into the AR, there's like 4 sections there. You go into the SMG and pistol, or the pistols, there's like 8 different areas to click there, and then each one of them has at least like 4 up to like 20 in some of them. Like, there has to be at least like 200 guns in that game. You know what, I'll actually search it up right now. Let's figure out how many guns H3Vr has. So how many guns does H3Vr have? 400. You see that? It's crazy. It has 400 guns to choose from. It has tons of attachments. There is no way that you can make the same gun twice unless you're trying to, you know? There's just too much stuff you can do. Honestly, the one thing I would say negative about it though is I don't like how there's you have to choose the hot dogs. I wish you can like switch between models, because the hot dogs, it brings out the realism a little bit. But speaking of realism, graphics gets a thumbs up. They're not absolutely insane, but I would say they're on par with Pavlov, at least in my opinion. But don't take my opinion for that one either, because I play through virtual desktop and I don't have a super high bitrate unlike you would get if you were using a wired headset, so I don't see all the graphic fidelity, but I would say from what I've seen it's about on par with Pavlov. The best game I've seen, I haven't actually played it yet, but I want to get it, Half-Life Alyx. Those graphics look crazy good. But yeah. So, I guess that's about it, honestly. I'm trying to think of anything else I can really talk about. I mean, it feels like I can spend so much time in the game, but when I try to talk about it, and there's so much less to say. But I think what H3Vr does is it really it has a perfect mix between silliness and like tactical, and it has a perfect mix between all the like things that you can call it. Like it's funny. You got some stupid attachments. You have again the sausages or the hot dogs or whatever. I wish I could switch between them, but they're fine as they are, because I think it's like a cool thing to choose. Like, it's not stupid. It's kind of more of just a silly thing, I guess you could say, of them to have chosen. But it's not. It works pretty well with the game. But at the same time, it doesn't work amazingly, because if it's going for more realism, which I feel like they are with all the time, they had to put into all the firearms and stuff. Because if they were going for realism, I feel like they would have chosen more realistic models. But I think the game's fine where it stands there. So yeah, another thing is performance. Now, I'm kind of middle of the line in terms of like specs. I have 8700K equivalent. When I'm overclocked, it's about like a medium overclock on a 8700K. That's about what it's equal to. When I say an E5 Xeon 1650V0, people usually don't know what that is. They search it up and they realize it's old, and they're gonna think it's bad. Trust me, it's not when I overclock it. Even unoverclocked compared to unoverclocked 8700K. The 8700K is only a little bit better, but overclocked compared to the unoverclocked 8700K, mine's better, but overclocked and mine overclocked too, they're about equal basically. But mine's obviously a little bit worse because it's older, but it's also, I'm comparing it to a still really good processor. It's not the best processor, obviously. And I have a GTX 1070 Ti overclocked to about a 1080. So yeah, I actually might have overclocked to maybe even a little bit more than the 1080, because I have it pretty heavily overclocked, but it holds it's pretty good with that. So yeah, and I heard a lot of people say the game's super RAM intensive, but I have 12 gigabytes of RAM, which is really on the lower side. I mean, there are some people with 8 gigabytes of RAM, but 8 gigabytes is really kind of like being like not useful anymore. Like, I have the bare minimum that you're really gonna need to play pretty much all games, and H3Vr is actually, it runs perfectly fine. Like, I never had a single problem with it in terms of RAM usage. I don't even think I hit 100% RAM usage once. I think I was sitting at like 90, it might have been. I don't know. But yeah. So I guess that's all I really have to say about the game. I would definitely recommend purchasing it if you're thinking about purchasing it. But yeah, like, yeah, so I would purchase it. I don't know if I would purchase it over Pavlov, because I feel like Pavlov just has more stuff you can really do in the game, because, you know, there's all the base stuff, but then you can also play multiplayer. You can't play multiplayer with H3Vr, so that's the one thing I really wish that there was multiplayer. I wish there was a multiplayer with like a slightly tactical shooter. I wish they had a multiplayer, like Pavlov, like, you know, you go into different game modes, but like you can choose a loadout that you made or something. Obviously they would have to find ways so you can't just bring super overpowered guns into the game, but, you know, I mean, I really wish they had that, but since they don't, that's the reason why I wouldn't put it above Pavlov. But I would put it equal with it, because definitely if they had the multiplayer stuff, and they had the workshop for it, so people could just add things to it whenever they wanted to, I would definitely recommend H3Vr over Pavlov. But the way it is now, you can't really do a lot of the things that you can do in Pavlov, but you also can't really do a lot of the things that you can do in H3Vr in Pavlov, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, so right now the games are in 2 different leagues. Yeah. I think I'm gonna end that here, because I'm starting to get to a point where I'm like running out of things to say, and I'm like, I keep putting long breaks in between. I guess I could pause it, but I don't know. I'm gonna pause it real quick, but I'm most likely just gonna end it right after the pause. Oh yeah, and keep in mind, I am comparing PC VR versions, because there is no Quest version for the H3Vr, and there is a Quest version for Pavlov. So if you have a Quest and not a PC, obviously the only thing you're gonna really be able to do is Pavlov.